In this segment, we're going to talk about the relationship between the transaction cost for the buyer, the loan, the down payment, the price of the contract, the equity, the seller transaction costs, and the loan. All right, so in the first scenario, from the buyer's perspective, you have a contract and there's a price, and the price is equal to this yellow section here. Anytime you see this yellow section with the contract price, it's comprised of two components: the down payment required by the lender and the loan amount. In addition to that, there are buyer transaction costs. Closing costs are the sum of the buyer transaction costs and the down payment. So let's put some numbers to that. On a standard contract, let's say we agree to a contract price of $250,000. Your down payment for an FHA loan is 3.5%. Your loan amount is that, so this plus that equals that. And then there's a buyer transaction cost, which is about that amount. So what the buyer has to come to the table is the transaction cost plus the down payment, and then it equals $250,000. Now, what's really cool is that some lenders allow for you to take this transaction cost and increase the loan amount by that amount, so that's all in the loan, so that the out-of-pocket cost is only just the down payment. Now, obviously, the total adjusted amount must be appraised. It still must appraise at that. No, so in the scenario where the buyer wanted to offer 250,000, that's about 250,000. It's off by $3, by $31, $31. Um, in this scenario, the price to the seller is $250, and the buyer wanted to finance their closing costs, the transaction costs, into the loan. So what we did was, to represent that, we increased the contract price to include the $250 plus the buyer transaction closing costs, and that came to that contract price amount. Well, in this scenario, the seller countered and said, you know what, buyer, you go ahead and pay your own closing costs. We don't want $250. We want a price to me of $257, and you pay your own closing costs, which is represented by that, which is, again, transaction cost plus the down payment. So the buyer had to come up with $16,000 instead of the $9,000. Well, the buyer didn't like that, so they countered. Okay, so you, Mr. Seller, want $255. Price to you, we're going to offer you $255. And we're also going to go ahead and finance my transaction cost into my loan. So $255 price to the seller. We know that the transaction costs are about 3%. So we'll add this plus this, and that will equal our contract price, this yellow piece here. And we're including the transaction cost for the buyer as part of the loan. That's why we have it represented here. So this is an example of the relationship between contract price and transaction cost financed in the loan.